Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video where I'm just going to talk about the upcoming game Total War Warhammer. In this one I'm going to talk about all the information that we actually know about the game up to this point. I'm going to be making some videos about predictions from what I know about the Warhammer world and how it's going to affect our game, but I'll do those in upcoming ones. This video is about what we know up to this date. There will be a link to the trailer that CA has released in the description of this video, so if you haven't seen it, you can go watch that trailer. Pause now, go watch it, come back, it's up to you, watch it after if you've not seen it, but I recommend you watch it. It is a good trailer. Now, just to put some stuff to bed, this is going to be made by a well, it has been getting made for about 2 years now, I think, by a completely new team. Completely new. It's taken no resources away from the historical Total Wars whatsoever. So that means, for Total War fans, that's awesome. We're going to be in roughly twice as many Total War games as we were before. That is great news. That is very good news indeed. Because we're going to be getting all these Warhammer ones, and we're going to be getting all our historical ones. They're both being made at the same time by different teams with totally different resources and budgets. They're not affecting each other whatsoever, apart from supporting each other fan base wise and stuff like that. Now, the major differences that we know are between a normal Total War and these fantasy Warhammer ones will be heroes will have a very large impact. There'll be more of them, not just like a single general per army kind of thing going on. Your armies can have several heroes. And in the Warhammer world, there's two distinct levels of heroes. You've got your normal hero and a Lord level hero, which is like a superhero. Well, not a superhero as in Marvel kind of superhero, I mean superheroes in a super strong hero. And you can always assume that your general will be a Lord level hero, or maybe in small scale you'll have if you've just got a few units, you could have a general hero as your general. That is even if they distinguish the two. Okay, I'm getting out of what we know. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that much more. But you've got the two types, and I don't know if they'll be distinguished or not, because what is it? If you've got your trees that you go down in Total War, that might be how you upgrade your hero and get them to be a stronger level. So that is just, okay, I'm bordering on what I said I wasn't going to do in this video. So back to what we know. Magic will have a much larger role in, well, it doesn't have any in normal Total Wars, but in this Total War it will have a big role. Because magic is very important in the Warhammer world, and some of your heroes will be able to cast spells and do all stuff like that. We know that at the moment. We also know that the faction leader is going to be very, very, very strong. Faction leaders, each race, or each faction we know at the moment is going to get their own faction leader. A good example of this is Karl Franz for the Empire, who rides Deathclaw, which you can see in the CE trailer. For those that don't know, that person you see riding is it a griffin? Yeah, griffin. Deathclaw's a griffin. The person you see riding a griffin just after the mage casts a spell, that is Karl Franz. So that is the Empire's leader. Now, Deathclaw brings me on to one of the other things that are going to be different. Flying creatures and monsters. Because Deathclaw is a flying, monstrous creature. Yeah, well, that was obvious, but we don't have them in normal Total Wars, so that is going to be a huge change. How they're going to implement it, we have no idea whatsoever. Right, moving on. What else do we know? We know there's going to be 3 standalone games for this. That is pretty big. Think Rome and Attila, or Shogun and Fall of the Samurai. That is the sort of thing we've got to be thinking here, because there's going to be 3 standalone games. It's not just going to be one. And also CA have announced that they're going to combine into a huge game, making the biggest Total War ever to date. Now the way that works sounds to me as though they mean you've got your Rome map and you've got your Shogun map. If you own them both, you'll be able to take your Shogun army and invade the Rome map. Kind of thing going on there. I don't know if it'll be like Empire, where you sailed off and then 3 turns later it'd appear on the other map or whatever. I think that's how it worked in Empire back in the day. I've not played it in a while. You had those zones you could travel to, or if it'll just be actually the lands are connected and you could walk from one to the other like you could any other land. We don't know that yet. We just know they're all going to be combinable. You're going to be able to move from map to map, and it's going to make a huge game. Right, we also know there are 4 confirmed factions for release. Now at first this disappointed me, because 4 factions, there's a lot more than that in Warhammer. There isn't even any elves mentioned, and Chaos doesn't even seem to get a look in. But when you think about it, I think this is a really good move. Warhammer has a lot more depth and variety in its factions than a normal Total War would. We've basically got one faction fighting, well, if in normal Total Wars compared to Warhammer, we've basically got the same guys fighting themselves. Because here, we've got orcs, we've got undead, we've got dwarfs, we've got elves, we've got ogres, these are all very, 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 very different races and very different playstyles. So I think that's going to take a lot of work, and they need a lot of depth, and they need a lot of variety, which does seem to be they're doing it. There's going to be a lot more base models. I can't remember the numbers, but there was only something like 4 in normal Total Wars, where there's going to be something like 26 in this. So that gives you a big idea of how much more depth there's going to be. There's going to be a lot of variety in the troops. Like in normal Total Wars, you've got like your just basic spearmen, and then you've got like your basic swordsmen, and they're like roll like that. But for another example, if ogres are implemented and become playable or as a non-playable faction, their normal men are like a cross between a swordsman and an elephant. So you can see like every race is going to be so different. Every race / faction. Right, onto the 4 races that have been announced. Races / factions, remember. Orcs and goblins, vampire counts, empire and dwarfs. Those are the 4 ones that have been announced for this game. Now I'm going to give them each a video for themselves, where I'm going to describe how I think they will be playstyle wise from what I know of the Warhammer world. So that'll be in a predictions video. They'll each get their own one. So I'm just going to move on and not say much about them. You can go there if you want to know more about each of those races, because I'll be talking about them a lot there. Now, what I do find surprising is Chaos. Where's Chaos? Chaos is one of the biggest factions in Warhammer, both 40k and fantasy. It is one of the most loved and is one of the most like influential in the worlds. In fact, a lot of the storyline revolves around Chaos and it's trying to kill everyone. So that is very surprising that they're not initially playable. Now, I've got a few theories of why this could be. It could be they've just not been announced yet, which I think's unlikely, because it seems like they're only going to have the 4 races playable at launch. It could be they're making the same mistake as they made with Attila, where the Huns weren't meant to be playable, but then because the community had a huge uproar and said you can't have Attila Total War without the Huns being playable, they kind of changed it last minute, but it still did a good job of it, by the way. So, but that's not what I think's going to happen. I think Chaos is going to get one of the standalone games dedicated to them. Now I thought I'd put a wee bit of predictions in this video just because I had to talk about Chaos a wee bit. But that would be pretty epic as well, because they are that influential in the Warhammer world that they would deserve a standalone to themselves, at least themed around them. But I'll talk about that more in one of my prediction videos, where I'm going to do a prediction video about the standalones. So expect that soon. Also, we actually do see some of the Chaos in the trailer CA release. That mage that is basically the narrator, we see him fall to Tzeentch. Tzeentch is one of the 4 Chaos gods, and he's the one that likes to lie and betray people. And we also see a greater demon of Tzeentch, the Lord of Change as they're called, appear behind the mage as he falls. That's what that big bird demon dragon thing is. That's a big giant demon that belongs to Tzeentch. Now, also what I know about this game is it's not End Times. What is End Times for those that don't know? End Times is this new thing Games Workshop have been bringing out for about the past year. It's where, I'll give you a bit of background for the Warhammer world. The Warhammer world has a lot of history. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised, well, I'd say I'd believe it if someone told me that there's just as much known about the Warhammer world's history as we know about our own history. This is it's so vast. Same with the 40k universe, there's so much there, It's impossible for anyone to know it all, just like our own history. Now, this history is also all in the past, Warhammer-wise. It's like every single little tiny bit of it is leading up to the game where it is now. And at the time when we play our battles, the game's frozen. Well, the history is frozen. And it's been that way since Warhammer was released. There's been no story progression at all, because that's not the way it sort of is. It sort of sets everything up, and everything's about to explode with wars everywhere, and that's where we play our games. But End Times is the thing what they've been doing the last year, and it has been advancing the story. And people like Nagash, the really big bad Nagash, are back. And that is where I'd say it's not End Times, because the Vampire Count's leader is not Nagash. So that's how I think I can pretty safely say that this game is going to be set before End Times. If End Times ends up happening as something like, say, I've been doing recently, they've been doing those little narrative driven things for their DLC factions, End Times could be something like that. But then I'm getting into speculation again. Right, moving on. All we really know at the moment, release date wise, is nothing. I have seen nothing official. I have seen people claiming that it's officially this fall, but I've never seen them come up with evidence or why they think it's this fall, or where they're getting their information from, so I'm not really sure there. I don't think there is anything. I think someone said, oh, it's officially fall, and then a lot of people have taken it as official, but no, I've not seen anything myself. If someone has seen where that is, please show me where, but I have not seen it. There is a lot of speculation as well for early next year, roughly the same time next year as Attila came out this year. There's a lot of speculation for that. But as we've got no gameplay to go on, and no official statements as far as I know from CA, I don't think there is really anything for us to go on. Everything at the moment is speculation, so we don't really know when this game will come out. But I think it's going to be awesome. Two of my most loved things combining into one. Right, hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope that's you up to date. I'm now going to start making my videos where I speculate over what I think is going to be in game, races wise, what the standalones are going to be, what my speculations are, and from educated guesses I'd say they're going to be, from my knowledge of the Warhammer world. So if you want to know more, go along, join, watch them, and hope you enjoyed this, hope you enjoy them.